The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life. Ambassador Ashley Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species, her hands clasped behind her back, her expression unreadable. She had requested this emergency session, and now every eye, compound, crystalline, and otherwise, focused on her with a mixture of curiosity and condescension. "Humans," chittered the Velkath delegate, their mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among their kind. "You request audience to discuss military technology?" The chamber erupted in what could only be described as the galactic equivalent of snickering. Ashley's lips curved into a thin smile. "Indeed. We wish to inform the Council of a recent weapons test. Another chemical propulsion device?" The Jothir representative's skin rippled with amusement, shifting through patterns of bioluminescent mockery. "Perhaps you've managed to improve your primitive kinetic weapons by another fraction of a percent?" For 300 years, humanity had been the laughingstock of the galaxy. While other species wielded plasma cannons that could glass planets, gravity wells that could crush battle stations, and antimatter warheads that could crack moons, humans stubbornly clung to their bullets and missiles. Effective against each other, perhaps, but utterly inadequate against shields powered by zero-point energy or armor forged from collapsed matter. "Not quite," Ashley replied, her voice steady. "Lieutenant Commander Alex Morrison, if you would." Second human stepped forward, his military dress uniform immaculate, his bearing rigid. Alex had spent the last 5 years on Project Godbreaker, and the exhaustion showed in the lines around his eyes. But there was something else there too. A fierce, predatory satisfaction. 3 standard days ago, Alex began, the UESS Prometheus conducted a live-fire test in the Kepler 442 system. He manipulated the holographic controls and the display shifted to show a massive human vessel, ugly by galactic standards, all angles and armor, bristling with what appeared to be conventional weaponry. "We observed," the Velkath delegate interrupted. "Your vessel fired upon an abandoned asteroid. Most impressive. It took you only 4 volleys to destroy a target that any of our ships could have vaporized in." "We weren't firing at the asteroid," Alex cut in, his voice sharp as a blade. The chamber stilled. "Our target was the Velkath observation platform positioned 17 million kilometers beyond the asteroid. The asteroid simply happened to be in the way." The Velkath delegate's mandibles froze mid-click. "Impossible. Our platform was equipped with military-grade shielding. Even if you could achieve such range, which is absurd, no kinetic weapon could." "May I present?" Ashley said softly. "The MK-47 Electromagnetic Mass Accelerator, or, as Lieutenant Commander Morrison and his team prefer to call it, the Railgun." Alex expanded the holographic display. The alien representatives leaned forward despite themselves. The image showed the Prometheus in exquisite detail, its hull opening to reveal a weapon that stretched nearly the entire length of the 3-kilometer vessel. "For 3 centuries, you've all assumed human stubbornness was stupidity," Alex continued, his words measured and deliberate. "You saw us clinging to kinetic weapons and laughed. You offered us plasma technology, antimatter warheads, even graviton projectors. We politely declined. Why?" The Jothir representative's skin had stopped its mocking display, settling into an uneasy gray. "Because we understood something you didn't," Ashley said, stepping beside Alex. "Every weapon system in the galaxy has a counter. Plasma dissipates across electromagnetic barriers. Antimatter can be contained and deflected. Gravity wells can be neutralized with counterwaves. But kinetic energy?" She paused, letting the silence stretch. "Kinetic energy is physics, and physics doesn't care about your shields." Alex resumed the presentation. "The MK-47 accelerates a tungsten carbide penetrator to 0.87 light speed using a magnetic rail system powered by a miniaturized fusion reactor. Upon impact, the relativistic kinetic energy—" He smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. "Well, you saw what happened to your observation platform, Ambassador Velkath." The hologram shifted, showing the moment of impact. The Velkath platform, a station the size of a small moon, simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no dramatic fireball, just there 1 microsecond, converted to plasma the next. The shields hadn't even had time to register the threat. The projectile passed through your shields as if they didn't exist, Alex explained. Because at those velocities, your electromagnetic barriers are meaningless. The penetrator exists in real space for such a brief moment that your shield generators can't even detect it, let alone respond. And the asteroid? Someone whispered. Collateral damage, Ashley said simply. The projectile punched through it, barely losing any velocity. We actually had to be careful about what was behind our target. At 0.87C, a missed shot becomes an extinction-level event for any inhabited world in its path. The implications settled over the council chamber like a funeral shroud. Every species present had invested countless resources into shield technology, convinced it made them invulnerable. Every throne world, every military installation, every fleet formation, all protected by shields that had suddenly become as useful as tissue paper. How many of these weapons have you constructed? The Velkath delegate's voice had lost all trace of mockery. Ashley's smile widened. That information is classified, but I can tell you that the Prometheus is merely our prototype vessel. The Mk-47 was our proof of concept. She let that sink in. The Mk-48 is already in production, smaller, faster to charge, and with improved targeting systems. We're calling them pocket railguns. Each one can be mounted on vessels 1/10 the size of the Prometheus. You're threatening the council. The Jathir representative had gone completely pale, their skin leached of all color. No, Alex said firmly. We're informing you. Humanity didn't develop this weapon to conquer. We developed it because we were tired of being treated like primitives. We were tired of being prey for every aggressive species that thought humans would make easy targets. We were tired of diplomatic advisors who were really just intelligence officers assessing our weaknesses. Ashley nodded. 300 years ago, humanity joined the Galactic Council as the weakest species present. Today we're informing you that the paradigm has shifted. Not because we want to dominate anyone, but because we demand respect. She swept her gaze across the assembled delegates, meeting each set of eyes, or optical sensors, in turn. The railgun changes everything. Your shields are obsolete. Your defensive doctrines are obsolete. Your assumptions about human capabilities are obsolete. We're not asking you to fear us. We're asking you to recognize us as equals. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the Velkath delegate performed a gesture Ashley had never seen before, a lowering of all 4 manipulator arms, a sign of respect among their kind reserved for worthy adversaries. Ambassador Chen, the Velkath said quietly, it appears we have underestimated humanity. Yes, Ashley replied, her voice gentle now, understanding. You did. Everyone does. Right up until the moment they realize that the species who still throws rocks is the same species that learned to throw them at relativistic velocities. Alex closed the presentation and the hologram faded. We're not your enemies, he said, but we're not your inferiors either. Remember that. As Ashley and Alex left the council chamber, they could hear the frantic discussions erupting behind them. Somewhere in the galaxy, military strategists of dozens of species were tearing up their defensive plans and starting over. Somewhere, engineers were desperately trying to design shields that could stop a relativistic projectile. Somewhere, politicians were realizing that the balance of power had shifted in the time it took a tungsten rod to cross 17 million kilometers. And on Earth, in the shipyards orbiting Luna, 3 more vessels were under construction, each one housing a weapon that had just obsoleted 3 centuries of galactic military doctrine. The age of human deference was over. The age of human respect had begun. And it had arrived at 0.87 light speed.